can't I be an influencer off of my DID diagnosis? It's my DID. It's my system. It's my diagnosis.
Disclaimer, don't go and attack anyone mentioned or shown in this video. This video is merely for educational purposes. It's not meant to spread hate or to endorse bullying, so please be respectful and refrain from witch hunting people. We don't approve of that here. Also, trigger warning, we'll be covering some pretty dark topics in this video, so if you're not comfortable with that, maybe don't watch this right now. Get yourself a hot cocoa instead. Watch a Christmas movie. The holidays are coming. Just don't watch this if you're not in a good headspace right now. I love you. Anyways, on with the video.
Before it is time to go.
So I don't know if any of you have heard of the epidemic on TikTok, but unfortunately a lot of people are faking or romanticizing mental illnesses, if not both. You probably know what faking means, but what do I mean when I say romanticize? To romanticize something is to make it appear beautiful, to see it in a positive light, even if the thing in question isn't positive. You've probably seen people romanticize suicide or depression like this, and this. Well, it hasn't really stopped. Now it's moved on to TikTok, where people masquerade it as informing people and trying to help people to not feel alone. Which sounds good in theory, but in practice, no one seems to really be informing people about any illness. At least not accurately. A lot of people are faking these disorders for clout, to seem like a courageous and brave soul for just putting it out there and helping others. But it's a lot darker than that. Although there's plenty of people on TikTok who I could call out for being extremely offensive and disgusting, there's one TikToker in particular I want to talk about, because not only is she misinforming the masses about her alleged mental illness, she has also sent her crazed fans after someone else who actually has mental illness to not only just bully her about her eating disorder, but also try to dox her face so that people could bully her even more. Just as a warning, this might get a little personal. The TikToker in question claims to have been diagnosed with a rare condition known as dissociative identity disorder. If you know nothing about this disorder, I'll briefly explain it to you. Dissociative identity disorder, or DID for short, is a disorder caused by early childhood trauma in most cases. It causes the person in question to have split identities that they switch between, usually in order to protect the brain from harm. Most people with DID have identities that have different functions, such as the protector who protects the host and generally the whole system from harm. They try to manage anger and rage and also avoid feelings like hurt, shame, or even fear. There's also gatekeepers who control switches or who confront in the system, so on and so forth. There are plenty of different roles these alters can have. There are even alters that can purposely harm the body, called prosecutors. It's a very complex illness to have, and as I said earlier, very rare. However, there's been a spike on TikTok of people claiming to have DID, but the girl who caught my attention the most was, this girl. Yeah, if you can already tell, there's some problematic content within her TikToks. She paints DID as if it's kind of fun, quirky, and cool to have. And you know what? Maybe that's her way of coping with having DID. Maybe that's how she makes herself feel better about having a disorder. The issue is, making something look too positive can have its downsides as well. For the sake of the argument, let's say she is 100% diagnosed. I wouldn't know if she is or isn't because I haven't seen her documents, and I probably never will. However, let's say that she is. Other people won't see mental illness as something that people struggle with. They will see it as something almost fun to have, or as just not being that serious, just based on the way that she portrays it. Some people who want to get as famous as her on TikTok will start to copy her and pretend to also have DID. I keep looking through her TikTok, but I don't see her making any disclaimers saying that she doesn't condone people who fake disorders. There's rarely ever a moment where she sits down and talks about DID seriously. And it's not like she's a kid. She's a grown adult woman. I think she's actually close in age to me. I think she should take things a little more seriously here and explain to people that there's a lot of bad that comes with having DID. This kind of content perpetuates the cycle of people not taking mental disorders very seriously. And I know that people don't understand it or take it seriously because I have seen it happen time and time again. If you've been severely depressed for years, people assume you might just be a little bit sad and that's all. If you show other major signs of depression, people look at you funny. They get frustrated with you or disgusted by you usually. Not in all cases, of course, but there are people who just don't understand it and will act out terribly against somebody who has really severe mental problems. I've seen people who claim to be mental health advocates treat people with really severe mental issues horribly because they aren't really ready to face the severity of the problem. Do you want to know how bad some mental disorders can get? Well, I'll tell you. This next little bit is based on my own experiences with people who are very close to me. Again, trigger warning. I don't want to trigger anyone, and I don't want to make anyone feel really bad, so I'm going to be going into some pretty graphic details here. Not too graphic, but still, I can imagine it might make some people feel bad, so if you're really not ready for this, this is, again, your last warning to leave the video. I'll also leave a timestamp here if you want to skip over this part. But if you can handle it, I really recommend you listen because this might let you see into the mind of somebody who's dealing with really severe depression. So, let's take a look at severe depression. What does it feel like? It feels like nothing. You don't feel joy. You don't even really feel sadness, nor anger. Maybe irritation. The sunlight shining through the curtains irritates you. You feel snappy, grumpy. You just want to be left alone to run away. But that's not you. That's not really you. You don't want people to just let you go, but you don't expect that they'll stay around either, because why would they? Why would they stay around a person who doesn't even want to get up, who can't even reach for the phone to message back for weeks? What's the point when you feel like this? When it always goes back to this? The happiness never lasts you. You're always back to being miserable. Will it really even get better? You know, you've looked up different ways you can die quickly, painlessly for a while now. Would anyone even notice if you did it? Would anyone care? The world will keep spinning without you. The sun will come up and continue to shine, right? Well, no. It's not like that at all. People will miss you. People will want to be there for you. People will try to help you. But you can't believe that. No one is rational when they're in such a deep state of despair. This is how you might think when you're crashing during a bad episode, and it's awful. It's downright horrible. It's hard to stop those thoughts from coming in sometimes. It's so hard to stop them, and guess what? It's not your fault for feeling that way. You didn't choose to have depression, and I'm sure anyone who has experienced it or has it long term will tell you that they wish they didn't have it. I can tell you myself from my own experience that I had a really bad depression at some point in my life, and it was the worst feeling ever. All of the joy had been sucked out of my life at that moment, and I didn't see a point in continuing forward. That depressive state maybe lasted for a month, maybe a little bit over a month, and I found it unbearable. I can't imagine the people who have to deal with that for their entire life, for multiple months, years even. I could barely withstand it in that 1 month. How are people able to withstand it for any longer than that? It's not someone's rational, logical choice in every case to take their own life. I would even argue that in no case is anyone rational or logical in choosing that kind of thing. If they weren't feeling so bad, if they had enough love and support around them, if they got treatment and could feel better than they do now, feel like there is hope for the future and that things will get better, and that everything isn't completely pointless, do you think that they would still do it? After hearing all this, does mental illness still seem pretty to you? It absolutely baffles me how TikTokers and sometimes even other VTubers use mental disorders to look kawaii. They'll mention how they're a little bit sad and want to sleep and stay in bed today, but they will never mention the more severe aspects of the illness, like how they haven't washed their hair in weeks probably, or didn't brush their teeth for the past few days, because that's not cute, right? Again, I think it's perfectly fine for people with any kind of mental disorder to cope with it by using humor. People with mental disorders sometimes romanticize their own illnesses to cope with it because they're probably ashamed of having them. A lot of people aren't so nice and will unfortunately call people with mental disorders abnormal freaks. Yeah. So, to cope with it, sometimes people try to turn the bad into something good for themselves. This is where I disagree with all the comments who condemn her for making jokes at all. There's no problem with her making jokes, she just does it all the time, which is my issue. I have a problem with this girl broadcasting these TikToks to thousands of people. Not once does she stop to express the downsides of DID. She only portrays it as something cool and positive. If she's not ready to talk about it in a negative way, because it would be too triggering or something, I understand, but then she shouldn't be publicly posting about this stuff at all, simply put. I wouldn't have that much of a problem with her if she was actually giving people advice, spreading positivity about DID, and informing people properly on what DID is. However, let's look at some of her TikToks, shall we? In many of them, she tells some cool, quirky fact about DID, which is, in all honesty, impossible.
In our diagnosed DID system of 23, we do actually have this little weird kind of cool thing where, like, if I'm drinking, or let's say Juliet's drinking, and we get severely triggered at a bar, and Beanie now fronts, because he wasn't drinking, he won't be under the influence. I don't know if we took a breathalyzer test, if that was really the case, but like there's been moments, where like Juliet has been out drinking, doing life, and then I front and I'm completely sober, even though I'm fully aware that I've taken enough to probably put an elephant to sleep. I'm totally fine. We also actually have an alter who we don't have a name for them. We don't know who they are yet. They haven't fronted often enough for us to get information in therapy. but they're always drunk. They're always under the influence, but they don't drink though. They're not doing anything to be under the influence. They just come out and all of a sudden our entire body is acting like we're under the influence. Like, I'm sure if I got pulled over and they were fronting and they were driving us somewhere, then we would probably be fine on the breathalyzer test because, like, we didn't do anything. But, like, try and get us to do, like, the da-da-da-da-da or, like, the din-din, whatever, fail. Fail.
That's not how that works. You're all sharing the same bodies, so you'd all be drunk. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Your biological body is intoxicated. No matter who is fronting, you'll still be drunk. It's not safe to push that idea that if you switch from one altar to another, you'll magically not be drunk anymore. People could try to drive home like that because Altar Steve is sober, so it's fine.
I have really bad paying attentionness abilities. Therefore, okay, Calavita. I'm just kidding. Okay, it's called Focus, and they're these like focus gummies that I got, and I'm really excited to try these out. They're all organic. They're 4-hour energy, memory support, focus and concentration, improve cognitive performance. And what I really liked about it, I don't know where the information about it was, but it doesn't have any preservatives. It's like super like healthy. It doesn't have anything in it. So it's a dietary supplement. It says to take two gummies. Oh, that's really yummy. Oh, I might take more than two, honestly. I took 2, 4, and we're gonna see how much work I get done. I have a long list to do, so wish me luck. Okay, yeah, it works. My entire house is spotless, okay? I got everything on my list done. It's only been 3 hours. It hasn't even been, I forgot I was supposed to be filming. I did a phenomenal job. I was doing dishes. I spilled shit all over my, phenomenal. Y'all, if you can't pay attention to stuff, you need this. What is it called again? Calavita Focus? Bro, I wish I would have been doing this earlier. My room would have been so clean.
I almost forgot that she says she has other mental illnesses, such as ADHD. She thinks taking some gummies would help. If your ADHD is so severe, I don't think a couple of gummies would help. And if they are strong meds, you shouldn't be taking more than the recommended dose because you'll end up overdosing that way. This whole TikTok is just, fucky.
This new mindset has me on a whole different playing field. Listen to this. Why do I have to be shameful about my disorder? Why can't I be proud of my brain for being accepting to change the narrative of the average brain development to instead develop in a way that would help me stay alive and live a normal life until I'm strong enough to take on the memories in healthy pieces? Breakthrough.
I will say that no one should feel ashamed of something they can't help having. I can agree with that notion. But I think saying you're proud isn't a good way to put it either. You're essentially saying you're happy to have this disorder that, well, messes with your life. DID is supposed to be your brain's way of coping with trauma, but it is still a disorder. If you look at what classifies a disorder, it is a behavioral or mental pattern that causes significant distress or impairment of personal functioning. It makes living normally hard unless it's treated in some way. Whether that's through therapy, medication, or both doesn't matter. It's still a disorder that impairs the way you function as a human being. So saying you're proud implies you are happy with having a disorder that impairs your life, which isn't a good message to send out. Again, you're making it seem like having DID is a good thing to other people. You can cope however you need in private, but letting other people see this can have some catastrophic consequences. There's plenty of more TikToks of hers that make me, I guess, question her intentions here. But what really drives things home is something she recently did to a YouTuber who also talked about her. A YouTuber by the name of Retro Phantom. Phantom is no stranger to mental disorders herself, as she's been through her own hardships and mentions those problems sometimes in her videos to make a point. sometimes to mention how ridiculous some of the fakers on TikTok are. She brought up our girl here in a video, and so what did she do? Ignore it? Talk it out with Phantom directly? No, of course not! Instead, she posted about Phantom and gave her crazed fans all the ammunition they needed in order to witch hunt Phantom and attack her. Not just about the video, but also regarding Phantom's own struggles. Phantom has stated before that she has struggled in the past with an ED and is now recovered, but instead of respecting that, our girl's mental health advocate fans would comment horribly on Phantom's body and told her to essentially unlive herself. Our girl had told Phantom that she didn't intend for this to happen. However, I think that's kind of bullshit based on the fact she told her fans everything they need to know in order to go after Phantom. You have an audience. You need to take responsibility for sending them on a witch hunt, you know? She made a lot of awful assumptions about Phantom as well, like that she was using an avatar because she didn't love herself or something. I wouldn't be surprised if she thought I didn't love myself because I don't want to show my face publicly on YouTube. I just like being anonymous, not because I don't like how I look. I think I'm pretty damn sexy IRL, but I like having my own privacy. She doesn't know Phantom's life, and making assumptions like this is just not even just rude, it's mean. It's simply vile. Spiteful even. Just to comment on her not showing her face like that shows her lack of understanding for the other person. She doesn't want to see where she's coming from. Not to mention, if you look at Phantom's video response to her, our girl didn't even give her a day to respond. Phantom could have been away, busy, or just not feeling great after getting so much hate. I'm glad to see that Phantom appears alright after all of this, but still, she could have been feeling bad. And despite that, our girl comments on how she didn't respond back, and clearly she doesn't want to sort things out with her.
Just a quick update from Grace in the future. She ended up deleting all of her TikToks on this after I didn't respond in one day, uploading a new one making more assumptions about me in the process.
I've decided to take down the videos. It didn't feel right. I am not that person. Morally, I felt like a bully back, especially because people then started commenting mean things. She had to turn off her comments. Like, obviously she's being affected to some extent. What she decides to do from there is up to her. It's her life. It's her page. I asked her to take down the videos. I told her how we could go about it so both of us don't receive hate. She doesn't want to respond to that. So obviously she has no intent on trying to fix the problem. So I'm going to fix it for myself, and I'm going to stop being even remotely close to being a part of this situation, because I don't feel good about the videos I created. Whether even all the comments where people were like, this is how you deal with a bully, blah, blah, blah. I'm reading those comments and I still don't feel morally correct about the video I created, right? And at first I'm like, well, maybe that's because I'm a pushover or something. No, it's not that. It's that I don't like being mean back. I don't like being mean to people. I don't like hurting people's feelings. I don't like knowing that I could have had anything to do with the reason why someone might not feel their absolute best that day. I am not that person, and I can't do it. I can't feel morally correct about those videos because they're not. They're not good for me. They're not good for the people who see them. I can't do it. So I've taken them down. I might keep up my YouTube video because I do feel there's educational parts in it, but at the same time, there's parts that I also don't feel morally correct about. So I don't know how long that video will be up. I don't know how long this video will be up for either, but I did feel like people deserved an explanation to why I took it down, so that then they're not going to come back and be like, I don't know. I felt better telling the truth and the absolute truth. Part 2 of this is also that I know I'm not lying, right? Like, I would understand being upset if there was lies to my videos, but the truth is that there is no lies to my videos. I am not lying about having DID because I have DID. I have been told I have DID by so many professionals at this point and I've been tested for it. My parents know, my family knows. Everyone knows I am not lying. I've had to tell all of my bosses. I've had to tell all of my clients, not all of my clients, some of my clients. I've had to tell a lot of my coworkers, like, I am not lying. So
I don't need to let those things affect me in any way. If I really wanted to, I can get all the information that I want and get those videos taken down because, again, I'm not lying and now she is making up lies about me, right? I could do that, but that's also not going to make me feel good because I know that her creating those videos brings her some type of something that she's needing in this time of her healing stage. So I'm fine. Those videos were up for 2 months before I even made this video, and all I had to do was delete comments. So fuck it. I can delete comments. I'm fine as long as I'm happy with myself. And now I am.
I think our girl here doesn't really want to take full responsibility for her actions. She keeps playing things off, downplaying the situation, and it makes things seem not as severe as they are. I also didn't like the fact she's playing the good person trope here. Oh, I just want this drama to stop. I feel like I was being a bully back. She turned off her comments, poor thing. She plays this whole I'm just trying to help people card quite a lot. Even in Phantom's video, she shows a video from another guy who also gets attacked by our girl here for commenting on one of her TikToks. I don't know what the comment was, but she didn't like his comment and therefore brought up his past trauma that he did not make public and mentions how she helped him, as if she's his hero. She could have just deleted the comment, really. And if you need to bring up how you helped someone in order to spite them, you're not a good person. You aren't helpful, you just want to look good. And you'll use it against someone if they don't just take what you say and agree with you on everything. Absolutely horrible. She has over 200k followers, while the guy she responded to had practically none. Who is the real bully here in the situation? Just because you have a mental disorder, that doesn't mean that you're a good person. You don't have to defend her or take care of her just because she says she's mentally ill. She doesn't necessarily deserve people defending her and fighting for her when she abuses her power that way. And I hope her fans see that now. Just because someone says they have a mental disorder does not mean they're an expert. She said before herself she doesn't understand everything about DID, and yet she still talks about it and spreads misinformation without doing research first. But I really have to wonder, why would you have to do that much research when you have the disorder in question? You should learn more about your disorders from your therapist or even from a Google search for your own benefit. But for someone with DID, you sure as hell don't seem to understand much about it, do you? Correct me if I'm wrong about anything though. Tell me your own thoughts if you wish. I'm probably gonna split this video into 2 parts because I was supposed to have some guests come on and tell me their own views and opinions. They're all people who have had their own experiences with mental health or who have people in their lives who have mental health problems. They all told me a lot of interesting things when I was talking to them one-on-one, and I wish I could tell you guys about all of the things that they said in this video, but it's too much for one video alone, so I'll save it for part 2. Sorry if this video was a bit serious and a bit dark. If you're feeling down in the dumps, please get yourself a nice hot cocoa, maybe some tea if you prefer, or some holiday eggnog. I love you guys a lot and I don't want you to be sad. Anyways, see y'all in the next— Wait a second! I almost forgot! I'm doing another podcast this weekend. We're probably going to discuss more things about mental health and throw around some ideas for future podcast discussions as well. We'll probably also watch TikTok cringe together, so that'll be fun. Please join us. It'll be on Sunday, same time as the last, around 7 p.m. UTC. So see you guys around. Bye.